I want you to imagine Christmas Eve in 1971. This was supposed to be a joyous holiday flight that turned into an unimaginable nightmare. We have a young girl, a deadly disaster in the vast, unforgiving Amazon rainforest. Now, what happened next defied all odds and logic, leaving the world truly stunned. What's going on, Midnight Mafia? Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I just want to, like always, let you guys know I love you so much. Got one announcement for today, something new. If you guys drive into work or you just prefer audio from now on, as of next week, I will be dropping a podcast, and I will have all the links and stuff set up when next week drops happen next Friday. So I hope you're pumped for that, and if you like to listen to me on here, then hopefully you'll listen to me on there. And yes, there will be exclusive episodes that are audio only. So that's kind of an incentive to, get you to go listen to those. But that's enough of that. I got a crazy story for you guys today, so without any further ado, as of now, it's time to slip into a mind that's not our own. Let's go. Julian Kopke was born on October 10th, 1954 in Lima, Peru. And she was born to German zoologist Maria and Hans Wilhelm Kopke. I'm sorry if I'm butchering these names. Her early years, though, were steeped in this wonder of the natural world, a world that she would come to know intimately. Because at 14, she moved with her parents to the Panguana Research Station in the Amazon. Now, she learned there to survive these vital survival skills that would soon be put to the ultimate test. So, on December 23rd, 1971, Julianne graduated from the Dutch school Lima Alexander von Humboldt University, and eager to celebrate Christmas in Panguana, she and her mother Maria boarded a Lanza Flight 508 the next day. And despite warnings from her father about the airline's poor safety record, they took the risk. And as the plane started to take off, the holiday spirit was high, but fate had a different plan. So the passengers on Lanza Flight 508 were filled with a mixture of holiday cheer and fatigue from the long days. And Julianne and Maria sat together, Julianne by the window and her mother holding her hand. The aircraft, which was a Lockheed Electra, roared to life as it ascended into the sky. And Julianne, who loved flying, watched the landscape below turn from city to lush green as they approached the jungle. But you see, the flight was 7 hours late, so it ended up hitting some unexpected weather. And as it entered this dense, dark cloud, turbulence started to shake the plane violently. I mean, luggage and Christmas gifts just came spewing below down to the cabin, and panic started to spread among the passengers. They look out the window and they could see lightning flashing all around them, and then it happened. A bolt struck the left engine. Julianne's mother, Maria, whispered that this is the end. It's all over, honey. And at that point, the plane started to nosedive, and the roaring engines drowned out the screams in the background. Julianne clung to her seat, heart pounding as the plane plummeted, and suddenly, everything went silent. And that is because Julianne found herself free-falling, still strapped into her buckle and her seat. The wind whispered in her ears, and the jungle canopy rushed up to meet her. Luckily, though, she blacked out before impact. I mean, the moment of the free fall was surreal. Julianne was still strapped to her seat, and she could feel the rush of wind as she hurtled towards Earth. And she could see the green canopy of the jungle just spinning closer and closer, the world a blur of this motion and sound. The impact when it came was violent and sudden, and that's when she blacked out. It turned out that Julianne woke up the next day in the jungle under this thick jungle canopy, realizing that she had actually just survived the air crash. So immediately her first thoughts were to call out to her mother, but the only answer was the jungle itself. and she was injured. They were quite severe, in fact. She had a broken collarbone, deep cuts, and a ruptured knee ligament, but she was able to walk. At this point, drawing on her survival training, Julianne began to trek through the jungle, and she ended up finding this small little creek and decided to follow it, knowing that it could potentially lead to a river. She had only a bag of sweets from the crash site as sustenance. The nights were very cold, and she only had to wear this sleeveless mini dress and one sandal. And she used this little shoe as kind of a test for the ground, avoiding hidden dangers like snakes. Each day was a battle against the elements, the oppressive heat and humidity that just sapped her strength. Her body was covered in insect bites, and the wound on her arm had become infected with botfly larvae. The constant pain and the buzzing of insects were just around her, and it was quite maddening. And on the fourth day, she looked up and she spotted what we would all not like to see, which was a bunch of vultures circling ahead. Dread filled her heart as she approached the actual crash site right now, where she found 3 bodies still strapped to their seats. The first woman, she could tell, had painted toenails, so she's like, okay, that's not my mother. Relief washed over her, but so did guilt for actually feeling that relief. I mean, Julianne's trek, can you imagine? It was a harrowing ordeal. These days turned into a grueling test of endurance. The heat, the humidity, everything. And if you could believe it, at this point in the story, 10 days have gone by, and on the 10th day, she could barely stand. She stumbled upon a larger river and actually saw a boat. Thinking this was just like a hallucination at this point, she didn't touch it to confirm its reality. But nearby, she discovered actually a little hut with an outboard motor and a little bit of gasoline. And desperation at this point led her to pour gasoline onto her maggot-infested wound. And the pain was excruciating as the maggots burrowed even deeper, but she managed to one by one extract them, feeling a grim sense of triumph. And then she spent the night in that hut, just hoping for a rescue. And to her unimaginable relief, the next morning, she could hear these distant voices. And it turned out it was these local lumbermen, and they found her, mistaking her for a mythical water goddess at first. But she introduced herself in Spanish and explained her ordeal. Clearly, they were shocked to see this, and at this point, they helped her out, and they treated her wounds, they fed her, and took her to civilization the very next day. It was at this point where Julianne reunited with her father the day after the rescue. Their reunion was silent, overwhelmed with emotion. For days, they searched for news about what happened to the mother. And sadly, on January 12th, Maria's body was found. But she had also unbelievably survived the crash from 10,000 feet as well. But she succumbed to her injuries in the harsh jungle condition. Experts even just marveled at Julianne's survival. Her seat, part of a row of 3, likely acted almost as a parachute, slowing her fall. And then the updraft from the thunderstorm and the dense jungle foliage kind of cushioned her landing. I mean, remarkably, as many as 14 other passengers initially survived the crash, but unfortunately perished waiting for rescue. This channel is where we tell stories of true crime, the mysterious, paranormal, supernatural, suspense, but also survival. And Julianne's story is a powerful testament to human resilience and the unyielding will to survive. Her journey through the Amazon, defying death at almost every turn, remains one of the most incredible tales of endurance and hope ever told. Certainly that I've ever told. So that makes you think. Are you having problems today? Are things just not going your way? Are you a little anxious? Are you stressed? Are you depressed? Guess what? A lot of us are, and there's a lot of people that can help you with that. But on the other hand, sometimes you just gotta remember what some people might be going through. Literally in a plane crash, just exploding. And then free falling with no parachute, 10,000 feet, not knowing where your mother or anybody else is. and then you survive for 10 days in the Amazon jungle, one of the scariest places on earth, and you survive. So anytime you're having a hard day or something like that, remember this story, and remember what the human will can do to overcome certain situations, and how in the end, if you want to survive, most of the time, you'll be able to survive. Thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate all of you so much. I hope you found the hidden clue. And that's all I got for you guys today. I'll see you next time. Cheers.